Yeah, it's probably like the most common question I was ever asked is what I was going to do after racing. Did I think I'd direct a race program? Probably not. But I felt like it was a great opportunity to kind of share the experience that I've had in racing, and also put into practice elements of racing that I felt like I missed out on, support that I felt like I never had. So I'm not a team manager. I do work with athletes. I do still develop the bike, but then as a whole, I run the whole program. The vision is to build the fastest race bike in a top 5 team. You know, that's the vision behind it. You know, at 43, I was still racing World Cups, and I felt competitive. I mean, I managed a podium, and I always wanted to stop racing while I was competitive. I didn't want to, you know, kind of fall off the back. But I felt like at 43, it's probably a good time for change anyway. This opportunity came to then run this whole program. And it's so easy to talk about it, but until it's January, and it's like the first week of January, and you go, well, flip, I need to start hiring people and signing off these deals and getting these contracts sorted out, and like, it's now up to me to get the agenda for the meeting and run this whole show. It's like, it's been a transition. I've felt quite uncomfortable in positions that I've been in. You come from a rider where you're an important part of this team, and you can kind of go whichever direction you want to go, and the team kind of support and follow, and that's like it's almost like a privileged position. But now you're in this position where you're trying to think for riders, trying to create an environment for everyone to be in harmony and work well, but then also try and squeeze the performance out of it. To me, that's been kind of cool, and getting to Poland and adjusting the pit so that we can run it a bit smoother, and finding ways on the track to squeeze a bit more time out of certain sectors and break it down for the athletes. I finally starting to feel a little bit more at home in the position I am, because coming into Poland, I was in the dark a bit. You know, I'd never been to a race where I'm leading this whole team. When I was racing, I took on my own management for the reason being that I didn't actually finish high school. I realized, like, when I left the sport, I was going to leave with nothing but being a bike racer. And I felt like I need to manage myself to then at least be able to understand contracts and work within contracts. And so that's what I ended up doing. I ended up managing myself through most of my career. That made it a lot easier once I was dealing with the athletes. That transition was super easy for me. There's definitely stuff I still need to learn. I'd never dealt with budgets until I took this over. So that side of things has been incredibly interesting. And us in these budget meetings, and I've got CFOs and brand managers, everything else. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. So I quickly lean back in my chair and pull my computer a bit closer and go straight onto Google. Now I understand what you're talking about. The off season started like straight after Montanan. We went to this meeting probably 4 hours. So you can imagine, you finish your last race of your career and really enjoy your night at an amazing party, and then wake up with a strong cup of coffee and go into like a 4-hour meeting. So it started right away, but we've settled on a really strong team, and a really good team. The dynamic in the team's been great, and that's to me, that's the most important part of the team, is the dynamic, not only amongst the staff but amongst the athletes too. You can't have any friction or any athlete feeling like they're getting a bit more out than another. So we really try hard to keep that dynamic super positive. I've always been nervous to give advice. I don't want to be in that position where I'm trying to tell the riders what I would have done.
What do you think about this gap, Greg? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I would have done it. I feel like I've got some experience, and I try and help the riders where they don't really need to ask for the advice. It's kind of presented through what we're doing. We've got 6 riders. We've got a whole technical team that's kind of untraditional. We don't have a mechanic per rider. We've got a mechanic through 2 riders, but then we've got a guy who's just set up to build wheels. We've got another guy who's dedicated to just maintaining and washing bikes, and We've got guys dedicated to making sure the data is collected. So it's slightly untraditional, but it worked really well in Poland. Yeah, my first World Cup in Poland on the side of the track was, I thought I was going to have a little bit more time to hang out and see some old friends and maybe go for a couple of drinks, and I had no time for that. I felt myself like running up onto the hill, running back into the pits. There wasn't one part that I didn't enjoy, you know, from grabbing the athlete's gear when it was muddy and just getting it sorted out for them so they didn't have to do it, to pushing bikes up so that, you know, Gracie could try another line, go into that bottom woods. Every part of it was amazing. It was so cool to see the athletes ramping up. But watching that race at the bottom in like the manager's pen, and you're watching your rider come down, and you're like, oh, you know, oh, just keep it upright, you know, and oh, good split, oh, bad, and you're like, it's nerve-wracking. Come on, Danny. Nice, bro. You couldn't have had worse conditions. It's like a different stress, and I struggled with the stress in racing, but I managed the pressure really well. This is like a different stress to racing. Racing, you've got a lot of stress and a lot going on because you're trying to be the best you can. Now you sit in, it's like a helpless stress. It's like there's nothing you can do right now. You've gone above and beyond to get this person into the start gate with everything, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to control the result. And you just have to sit and watch, and that's kind of hard. That's a lot harder than racing. And maybe sometimes as an athlete you miss some pieces. You know, you're really grateful for all the help to get onto the podium as an athlete, and it feels really good, but it feels so much warmer and so much deeper when you help someone else get onto the podium. And I really enjoyed that. Well done. It looked very physical. Going from 3 to 4, I was like, oh, well done. You're so quick out the gate. That first jump, it was incredible. You know, I've known Lena for 3 years. I met her at Fox at the park in Leogang, and that first ride with this little kid just whipping past me, and I could not believe at 13 you could whip a bike so well. I followed ever since then, and it was a great opportunity to bring her onto a team and then watch her get on the podium while it was cool. I was proud to see her up there. But what we did do was made sure we bought a bunch of champagne. After that, we saw that, we realized that, you know, Lena hadn't popped the cork yet. Gracie was a little uncertain on how to pop a cork. And so we decided to actually train the athletes how to pop some corks, because I think we're going to do this season. I really do. I feel like we've got a strong team. So Kathy was out buying some champagne to train the athletes how to pop. You did it.
We did it.
We did nothing.
We did it.
I did nothing. You did it. You have to celebrate with a few of these. I mean, it was incredible. Like, yeah, it's cool to be a part of it. But when I see like Alan and Joe working so hard to make it happen on track, Tom and the crew and Brett, her mechanic, in-house working so hard, I'm like a minor piece of it. These guys have pushed so hard and worked so hard to make it happen. Like, all the credit's due to those guys. It was incredible. Yeah, I didn't feel like I'd missed the riding part of racing. But once the racing started, the only other moment was when things got heated up. It's really cool to race, and that's the competitive side of me. Like, once the competition started to go, I was like, it would be cool to try and be in that mix. But other than that, I didn't really miss being on the bike. Don't think anything can fill the void of downhill. It's such an amazing feeling and ride. And I'm still testing, and I'm still going to do some racing. It's just not going to be World Cup racing. So, and maybe that's a nice transition for me. Maybe that's why I'm not missing it, because I know I'm still going to be doing it. I'm sure there'll be a point at this, at some point in this season where I go, oh, I really wish I was racing now.